You're listening to Opinions and Beer. I prefer mead. You sent me to hell, Jason.
I really just want to make everybody jealous.
I'm a person from Earth.
The smartest dumb guys I've ever met.
How are you doing today? Probably pretty well. You may be doing bad. It kind of doesn't matter at this point in time. A lot of momentous things have happened in the past around this time, and we have to think about the moral fiber of our community and what brings us together as Americans. And one of the things that's done that in the past that I'm not going to forget about. It's impossible. Like, it's something that has changed every aspect of our lives as Americans. September 11th, 2001. The mettle of so many Americans was tested. The issue at hand has been discussed several times. The ensuing issues afterwards have been a crisis for our nation and has defined us as a generation. But one thing we know for sure is that the crisis that took place September 11th, 2001 brought us together as a community in some way or form. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today on the Opinions and Beer podcast.
I'm your host, Adam, and also the host, Eamon. Just had a cold open about the tragedy that happened. You know what's crazy, though? I don't think I knew it happened until 2004.
2004? Are you serious? Okay, so let's start this part of the segment the same way that everyone starts this segment when they're discussing it, and that is, where were you? No, excuse me. Where were you
on the day they took our freedom?
On September 11th.
2001.
Because I can tell you exactly, like I remember exactly where I was when I found out. Do you? Or was it more?
It was literally 3 years later.
3 years later.
I thought that had happened.
Oh, wow.
Is that weird?
It's a little weird. I mean, most people know exactly when this, but you were younger than me, so like that it makes sense that maybe like that wasn't such a, you know.
Well, I guess it had been an anniversary, because I swear to myself that I did not know about 9/11 until Mr. Pack, who was a conspiracy theorist history teacher who believed in Bigfoot and all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
Not saying Bigfoot's fake, but I'm just saying that he was an active proponent of Bigfoot, and that his friend worked in...
We're less than a minute, maybe 2 minutes into this podcast about 9/11. We're already talking about Bigfoot.
Well, because my teacher apparently had a friend that worked at Area 51. It was like, it was a big... this class was the class, and this was 4th, 5th, 7th grade. It was 7th grade that I heard about 9/11, and I thought that it had happened because he was talking about it. But apparently it happened when I was in 4th grade. But I didn't know it happened until 7th grade when he told me.
I want to say, so you thought it happened just then, whenever you had found out, or or did you knew about that it had happened?
Well, because in my
previously?
brain I see ourselves.
This is very interesting. I've never heard your aspect of this story. This is so interesting.
Because I swear, because everyone talks about the story about everyone turning to the TV and watching the events that happened or whatever. Like, oh yeah, they brought a TV in and we all watched or whatever. And I remember that happening in 7th grade. Yeah. So it must have been like an anniversary of it, and I thought that it was happening. It happened then during an anniversary.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm trying to think of the exact age I was, and I want to say that I was in 6th grade, I was in my science class whenever it happened. Our teacher was he was kind of like a bigger fella. He was really fun, very funny, very uplifting and positive. One of those guys that looked like he probably went home and had a beer every day and was very okay with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, he went out into the hallway and he had as soon as the teacher goes out in the hallway, the class is silent for a few seconds. Then everyone turns to the person around them. They all start cutting up and talking about fun stuff and figuring out what everybody's doing for the weekend. Funny things that we say to each other. Who's wearing what funny outfit that day, etc. Normal cool normal school kid type stuff, right? And then the teacher walks back into my classroom, and his face, it looked like the color that had left his face a little bit because he was so just taken aback by what had happened, and that's whenever he let us know. He said that that they believed that terrorists or something. He said something horrible has happened. We believe that terrorists have flown planes into the World Trade Center or whatever, and that it was a huge accident and that a lot of people had died. And us as kids, I didn't even know what the World Trade Center was. I didn't know what the two towers were. I originated from Texas, so I know what the Sam Houston Memorial looks like. I didn't know what the two towers was at that time, but once I found out, it was such a significant part of whether I liked it or not, whether I wanted it, whether you wanted it, whether any of the listeners at home wanted it, it became an integral part of American history that to this day there's a veil around it where there's so much subjective theory that not even everyone knows what they personally believe about the situation. So that's one of the things that I feel like on and or near the anniversary of this subject. It's such a big subject. There's so many theories, and I feel like that it's necessary. I feel like we need to talk about this.
No, we lost a Tentacruel episode in Pokemon because of this. Which we did.
Yes.
Tentacruel, and then we lost the scene in the Spider-Man movie where Spider-Man does his webs in between the Twin Towers and catches a stolen helicopter.
So back in the day, I played an online, what are they called? Real-time strategy games.
Okay.
So like a real-time strategy game called Command and Conquer. And it's where you could play as like Americans and or Russians, Germans, and you have these it's like Age of Empires or whatever, like or the old school Warcraft games. Real-time strategy, essentially you have units and you make them go and attack other bases or whatever. You build up your base, essentially.
Yeah.
Well, the one that I was playing at that point in time, Command and Conquer, had representations of New York and the two towers. And I remember going in as like a Russian army, and one of the things that you do is you send troops into the two towers and you take over the two towers, etc. That's it. It was just part of the mission. It wasn't even like meant to be, a dig or anything like that. These were American developers that came up with this, and it was just so ill-timed because shortly after the release of this game, everything happened with the two towers. September 11th happened, and then, like you're saying, there was a form of like modern day censorship where anything including the two towers, like
Or exploding buildings.
Yeah, it was like respectful to, I guess, the thought of that, to like not include that. So like they went and retroactively banned or removed the two towers from that experience altogether.
Yeah.
So that was like my first iteration of like a type of government censorship, and such an intense moment in American culture that brought everyone together in a way. And I won't even say that it was positive, because around the community that I was in, it was very hate filled. I feel like hate filled orientated towards a different culture. Like I feel like everyone in this area at the time had derived such an extreme hatred for like Arabic people, etc. But like it's so strange to look back on that now, and be like, whoa, I can't even fathom the fact that people were thinking this about people that they didn't know. And I don't know, it's all very surreal, it's very surreal. It's like none of it happened, but like people, obviously people didn't want something like this to take place, but it did, and that's what we have to live with, and that's what we've had to live with. I mean, I've known people that have gone into the military and served time. A lot of my friends served time in the military to fight in wars that were propagated by this incident.
Yes.
That potentially wasn't even related to this incident. And it's like it's so strange for us to think that we'd have some type of like Vietnam situation like that on our hands, like where it almost isn't even relevant, but America decided to take these leaps and bounds anyways.
Yeah.
So I mean that's one of the reasons it's such an important thing. I feel like that we need to touch on these, and we need, because there's so many questions, there's so many theories about what took place. I feel like maybe we should touch on that.
If you have any theories, please share it with us on our Opinions and Beer Facebook group, or our Facebook group. You can follow us on Twitter and share our stuff on Twitter, and join Eamon on his Discord, Eamon, XAemonX, on Twitch. And yeah, nice little opening there, cold open. Sad times that we have. This is our, what anniversary is this? 18.
This is September 11th turned 18 this year.
18 years.
I remember I saw somebody saying September 11th can go buy cigarettes now. It's been
my God.
It's been so long since it's that. And you have to really take into account that, because just a few years ago I was reading stories how someone that endured September 11th, went out to war in Iraq and or Afghanistan, came home, had a child, and their child is now old enough to be drafted to go fight in, Syria, Iraq, or Afghanistan again. I mean, for most of the part, I feel like Donald Trump is our current president. He has removed a lot of the... I feel like Obama started the process. Barack Obama started the process of removing a lot of the troops and stuff overseas. And I feel like Donald Trump is doing a good job at like continuing that process of removing us from overseas. Whenever... I mean, let's be real honest. Like... We were told, the American people were told that Osama bin Laden was the perpetrator of these attacks. And I mean, we don't even know if that's a legitimate thing or not.
Right.
And so our troops were sent out to Afghanistan, and Iraq for some reason. We overthrew Saddam Hussein from that nation, and that was guised as a almost like a revenge tactic for 9/11. But let's be honest here. What did Iraq have to do with September 11th?
Probably nothing. Intense stuff, man. That's a conspiracy for another day, though.
Yeah, for sure. I just thought that we should probably touch on that,
especially because we're around that week. It's the same. It's the just recently that celebrated. We remember the 18th anniversary of September 11th.
Yeah, and I mean now's one of the few.
That's why we drink.
We're in a strange time in history where the cultures have gotten to the point to where like nationalism is fine, but we can reach out to people in other countries now and know what they knew at that time and see what their opinions are. Some people don't even believe that Osama bin Laden is even behind the attack. Some I've seen some reviews or whatever that thought that like the media, like the Rothschilds, is that what their name are? The Rothschilds? They said that they were behind the September 11th attacks. I don't know what factuality they have for that, but you know, it's obviously a bold statement. But yeah. I mean, they were looking in on our perspective, saying like, "Wow, you guys are like really misguided on your own on the horrible, atrocious acts that your country has committed because of this." Like, so I feel like we do sometimes have some like blind patriotism, and I know that I did when I was that age. Granted, I was 11, somewhere between 11 and 12 at the time. Yeah, I want to say.
So I was 9.
9, 10, 11. So I was like 12. Yeah. Okay. So I was like 12 at the time, and I remember being so mad at these people that they portrayed that did these horrible acts, and then now I'm finding out later that maybe even these people that did these acts didn't do these acts. Like, we may never know. The only thing that we know for certain is that 2,000 plus people died in the towers, and that many firefighters also lost their lives trying to protect those people and trying to do the right thing. So off of the top of your head, who's your favorite firefighter? Mine is John Gage. I like you, John Gage. You're a good guy.
Who's John Gage?
He's a firefighter. He's my favorite one.
Well, I knew a firefighter, and he was a dick, and he liked to run up. He liked to run up the skateboard ramps, and he liked to pull his legs up and like, look at me, I can float over the skateboard ramps. And then he would like lay people down, and he would do front flips over the people laying down. And
okay.
And then me and my buddy, he was on the show before, Timmy. Me and Timmy were like, that's some bullshit. And so he...
So was he your favorite one? Was he your favorite one?
And so then during mosh pit, he came at us, and instead of moshing, he decided to punch us in the faces.
Okay.
And we were pretty beat up. I think Timmy's lip was bleeding, and I'm sure my nose was probably busted a little bit from moshing with the firefighter man that could do flips over people, that was upset at us for telling him he was a lame-o for doing front flips over people laying down.
I mean, from a third-party perspective here, it kind of sounds like you and Timmy may have been jealous that he could do front flips over people.
We were like, whatever. Whatever.
And I feel like maybe that's the tone that Americans are taking right now with this issue. Why was he so upset?
That we were whatever. So obviously he was being a showboater, and he was upset that...
Yeah, I guess. Because, like, if you were doing it just to do it, then you would have done it, walked away, and not cared what anybody thought.
Exactly.
Right? But if he did it and then was like, "What do you mean you're not kissing my ass?" Yeah, no, that's horrible. That's horrible.
But my father was a volunteer firefighter for.
Oh, really?
For years.
Well, yeah. No, that's one of the things that I feel like needs to be discussed, because a lot of volunteer firefighters were pulled in on this day as well. I don't know. I don't know all the facts. I'm in Texas. That's New York.
But today's beer of the day is Untitled Art. I did not. Should we bleed into this?
Well, look, let me cover one more topic
Okay.
real quick, and then we can bleed into this.
I think
The reason why this year is so significant, there's a very big reason why I'm bringing this up, and that's because for the first time in history, we've had a community stand up and like they're going to Congress with this idea. There's a firefighter's office outside of like Queens that has come together and unanimously voted amongst themselves that the World Trade Center bombings were not a terrorist organization, and that the research findings that everyone has come up with is that like the World Trade Center 7 building was undeniably caused by a demolition style bombing, which means that someone had to have placed charges on there, and that they detonated. The way that they came down, they said, was so representative of a demolition style crew bringing down buildings, and the way that it uniformly fell, that there was no other possible explanation. And so they're taking these findings and they're bringing them to that, I don't know, the courthouses or whatever. So they're going to follow through and try and get another study done or another investigation. And so this, like, you may not know about this right now, listeners, but in possibly a couple of months, this might be a really, really big bit of news.
Yeah.
So we want to touch on this right now and let you guys formulate your own opinions. So be sure to let us know what kind of weird stories you've heard, what things you believe on this fact, one of the reasons why you will never forget it, where you were, I guess, and what else should they let us know?
Well, you should know about the beer of the day. And
All right.
Today's a pretty heavy subject, but we've got a lighter beer here today. It is brought to you by Untitled Art, the Barrel Theory Beer Company. The Barrel Theory Beer Company has been making a lot of Untitled Art beers. Essentially, it's kind of complicated, but Untitled Art, the Barrel Theory stuff has been it's hard to get all of them. They make a lot of beer, and I don't know what's going on with this particular company. It's kind of an odd company.
This is a beer?
Holy shit.
I mean, it's pouring out, and it looks almost like a little wine cooler, because it's if they're focusing on fruit or whatnot, it's like, it looks like it's definitely more of a fermented fruit style beer.
Well, Untitled Art is a very experimental beering company.
Okay.
And they partner with a lot of different brewers to make a wide variety of types of beer.
Oops.
And in our area, we can get about 3 of them, and I've seen some really good-looking beers from this company. I've seen them, but in our area, we get about 3. Louisiana gets about 8 of them, and then they have like a version of Untitled Art brought to you by like Belgium or something. Like Belgium has their version of this like weird these weird experimental beers.
Okay.
And Louisiana, I've seen in a Louisiana beer place, they were selling a lot of them. But
so it says the name of this brewery or company is the Barrel Theory Beer Company.
I think that's who helped them with this one.
from St. Paul, Minnesota, is what it says.
Yeah, I think that's who helped make this particular batch.
Okay, so Untitled Art is kind of like an independent. They get contractors out
Yes.
to help make them their beers that they want to produce. So this one is called the what is it, Marionberry?
Yeah,
Berliner
Marionberry Berlin Weisse. It is for
Berliner.
what's the alcohol percentage in this one?
4.5. It's 1 pint. 4.5% alcohol by volume. The artist for the art on the front, which is really nice, actually. It's very calming. I'm not going to say that it's Untitled because it says Marionberry Berliner Weisse. But the artist is Stephanie Hyman. She did a great job.
And they don't have. They're one of those. They're kind of a lower. Not lower, but I mean they just don't have a lot of writing on the can. It's more like the art and the beer flavor.
Okay.
So you don't know much of the story.
Look at this. Okay, so it says the brewery is in St. Paul, Minnesota, but it was canned by Untitled Art, which is in or Barrel Theory is the name of their place, which is Waunakee, Wisconsin. I wonder how, because I know that we have a lot of issues here transporting beer in Texas.
Yeah.
I wonder how it would be to transport beer out of state for canning, because that's like this is a multi-state beer.
I know, that's what I'm trying to say. It's weird. The whole Untitled Art thing is a weird
Yeah, it's a very weird concept.
weird company. They just have a lot, and that's why I'm upset we don't have some. We don't have some of them. And like some look so good. Like I'm angry that we don't get them. Like because I asked, I'm like because the company that because that's what I was trying to tell you. Devel.
Okay.
Apparently Devel.
Yeah, I remember you saying it.
Promotes a lot of the Untitled Art. They distribute a lot of these Untitled Art beers, and but I guess in this area they don't distribute all of them, and so we've got this one, and then we got a couple of like IPAs and stuff. But I really wanted to buy this one because it's a Berlin Weisse, and we don't try that many Berlin Weisse, so I'm going to try this beer. Very whiny.
You're whiny.
You might like it.
I'm sorry. I'm actually like, it's very unique because it's.
It's unique, but
okay. So guys, let's get down to looks here, because the reason why we were like, whoa, what's going on here? Is you pour it out. Most beers are yellowish, brownish, orangish, etc. This is red.
Yes.
And red/purple.
I mean,
like
red,
it looks
red.
like we're talking like it looks like a wine cooler.
Because like you might say red, and someone's like, oh well, red ales are red. No, this is red.
Like it's like red/purple, and it looks like it's full of berries. It looks like the main ingredient isn't hops but berries.
Right. Oh man.
So it's like sour, I guess.
Yeah, it's mildly sour.
I mean, I don't really know what Berliner Weisses shoot for, what they aim for.
I'm not quite sure either.
I mean, I always thought
this is our first Berlin Weiser on the show.
Yeah, like I thought that it would be more of a hearty German beer, whereas this is kind of like a fruity. I don't know. It's just such a different representation than what I thought that I would get from it.
Berlin Weisse is a... Yep, you're right, though. You were right earlier. Berlin Weisse is basically a German-styled sour beer.
Okay.
And in fact, this being 4.5% in alcohol, it's actually a little higher than the typical Berlin Weiser, which the typical Berlin Weiser is at a very low gravity of 3%. So it's typically a very low percentage alcohol sour beer. It's basically it's like kid beer. It's like juice. This like the beer they use whenever they're out of wine at like religious ceremony.
Look, this is the perfect opportunity for me to bring up what I was going to tell you.
Okay.
So, a while back, I had a conversation with a German fella. It doesn't happen every day, but it was like a bloke that was legit talking to me from Germany because of the way I do my job online. I interact with people from different communities. One of them, I got to mention, like he said, he was from Germany. I was like, "Oh, what's your best beer in Germany, and how do you, what are some of the key differences between, like you guys and ours?" And one of the things that he said that really, really surprised me is he said that like almost every beer that they drink, they drink beer and cola. So what they'll do is they'll get these, strong German beers, and they'll pour it out, and it's meant to be mixed with cola, like soda, like Coca-Cola.
What?
Like they take their beers and you mix it with cola, and then you drink it like that. So it's almost like a treat. I mean, don't get me wrong, beer is already a treat.
Yeah.
But like it's, sweeter with syrup, etc. And I was like, what?
Did you try it?
Listeners, like at home, you're listening to this and you're going, what? And he was going, like, what? Like you guys don't do this? Like you don't do beer and cola? Like this is something
He was
new?
trolling you.
I swear to God, no, because he gave like so much. He was so descriptive of it, that like, because it was an immediate response. It wasn't like oh yeah, law, like this is a no, like he didn't understand. He's like, dude, you've got it. Like if you haven't tried this yet, this is how. I mean, like I can't even get into the beers with you until you've tried drinking like this. So I thought I wanted to bring it up.
You tried it?
No, I haven't tried it yet.
What the fuck?
No, why would I try? I mean, like
He
that
told you to
doesn't-
try it.
I mean, I know, but I was waiting until we talked about it again
So at some
to
point-
say that like maybe here soon we can get like a truly German style beer and then try it with like a
soda?
cola, yeah,
Okay.
like and then see
That'd be
how it goes
interesting.
from there.
I bet you it tastes like a stout or something.
Yeah, like what? But what if this is like a totally new form of drinking that we just, like most.
Well, shandies. All shandies are supposed to be beer mixed with soda.
Oh, shandies are.
Yeah, shandies are supposed to be.
Okay.
And shandies started off in bars, and it was.
But I thought shandies were like Sprite or whatever. Like, am I wrong in that sense? Like,
I mean, and it's typically Sprite.
yeah. No, we're talking, but this is like dark syrup,
Yeah.
like dark cola, like
But that's what I said. Typically,
typically.
it's basically any carbonated beverage mixed
Yeah.
with beer is a shandy.
Which I mean, that makes sense too.
So
Like,
some breweries just do carbonated
It's-
fucking water or whatever.
Yeah, you're right. It's very interesting to see these different drinking styles from different places. So like, it'll be fun for us to like maybe one day take a couple of these different styles and then try and throw it all together and see how it works out.
What would you rank this beer?
Oh shit! Here, let me drink a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
How about you describe it a bit
Okay.
while I'm drinking it?
So, this is it's light in alcohol, so it's very dessert beer. This is a very desserty beer, in the sense that, like, maybe you think stouts are dessert beers, which is fine because coffee tends to be a dessert drink, and stouts tend to represent an alcoholic coffee. This is like a dessert winey beer. So if you have a more of like a berry or wine palate, and you love like the taste of like very fruit, if you're more into fruit than coffee, this is the dessert beer that you would have.
Man,
after a,
what do you think? Do you have an extra one of these?
Yeah.
If you have an extra one of these, let's save it and let Ed Ray try it, because he's like our wine guy or whatever. Yeah. I want to see what he says about this because
well,
I mean, it's not like, okay, it's not a wine, it's very obviously a sour. It tastes like sour. I think the only reason why I keep trying to associate wine with it. Oh, what's that?
A lambic. It tastes like a lambic, but like a sour version of a lambic. A lambic tastes a lot like this, and actually we had Ed Bray on the cause of death episode for what I can't remember what holiday it was. Memorial Day. On the Memorial Day episode, Ed Ray tried a lambic, and he gave it a pretty high rating because it was very wine-like. And I feel like a Berlin Weiss has a very lambic. To compare a style, it tastes like a lambic, but maybe more of it has like a very wild sour taste.
It's so interesting. It's like we just found a beer for one of our friends to try. Like that's why it's so good to do this podcast and for people to hear this, because it's
Beers
like
are so different.
I know there's so many different options out there, and people get so focused on or they don't know about these different types, so they usually go down their local supermarket's beer aisle and they pick their local favorite that they choose, whether it be those big name companies. We won't get into all that but whenever they do that, they don't understand that they're missing out on all of these amazing flavors. And like I feel like some people think of it as like manlier or something to just blindly go in and spend your money on the easiest thing to buy and then leave, right? Like, but I feel like they just don't understand that like and that's why we have to reach out to them and be like, look, maybe you're going about it all wrong. Maybe you need to check this out. And listeners, you guys have to check this stuff out. It's
we need to find more Berlin Weisses.
Yeah. For one, this is it's a very good sour. Like as far as sours go, this is one of the best that I've had for sure. It's not the best. I want to say that thus far, because I've only tried about like 4 or 5 true sours. Like I can't, so I don't want to come across as skewed or anything like that. But like we tried the Ingenious. Ingenious was a sour. It wasn't even a sour, was it? No. I feel like that tasted the most.
Green Zebra was a goose, and goose is. I found that goose is technically a sour style.
That's the one.
Green Zebra, the watermelon one, that was really good too. That one had so much flavor. I swear, when you compare this one to Green Zebra, it's like, because Green Zebra had so much flavor. Yeah. The thing with this one is that it's really good, but I think maybe the berry flavor isn't. I don't know.
I mean, I'm gonna be real, dude. I've never tasted a fucking Marionberry.
No.
I don't know what that is, so I can't I don't even know if they made that up or not. So I can't sit here and say like
you fakers. Making up berries.
Let's look at the pictures, okay? The picture looks like a watermelon, a grape, and a strawberry, and then that's a cherry. That's undoubtedly a cherry. So
abstract art. I don't even know what art.
I know. I don't know if this is what they're trying to project in their beer.
Fucking abstract bastards.
Abstract bastards. Oh shit. Well,
are you into abstract art?
Am I into abstract art?
Do you understand it?
I don't think anyone understands abstract art. I mean, I guess some people do, but like, what?
How come it costs so much money?
Why does abstract art cost so much money? Because I guess, for one, almost all of those representations are completely unique. They're usually one of a kinds. They're very emotional. I feel like most abstract art portrays a lot of emotion from the artist. The colors represent moods, etc. It's hard for me to speculate on an imaginative art piece that I'm looking at. But this abstract art, I feel like
it says fruit.
I'm not gonna lie, the art is nice, but I feel like maybe it comes off a little cheap. You know what I'm saying?
That's why it's Untitled. They're embarrassed. No.
Like they didn't want to put their name on it.
Oh
like
god. This is a solid. I hate throwing out 8s everywhere and stuff. This is a solid 8.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna have
sucks,
to. I'm gonna have to do. This is gonna be the very first deferred rating that I do. Like, I'm gonna have to just kind of like piggyback on your rating because
okay.
I don't feel like I've had enough sours to be able to accurately describe how it tastes. Now, what I can do for you other listeners at home that kind of have a similar palate of like porters, stouts is what I usually kind of lean more towards. Sours are very unique. Sours are something that I'm probably not going to go out of my way to buy, but if I'm at a party or like with some friends or whatever, and they pull out a sour, just for the kick of it, I'll try that to see how it is. And I feel like this one is really good. Like, I feel like it doesn't have an over... Because I've tasted sours that are like, they put their namesake, like on the line. Like, they are really sour. This one is... It comes out like a fermented berry beer, not a fermented berry wine. Yeah. So, like, I mean, there's no question about that. On that basis, I'll say, I mean, overall, personally, I'd rate it like a 6 because this just isn't. It's not my thing, but I understand other people's like
I guess
want.
I was rating it on like style, I guess, essentially. I'm trying to think if I would buy this again.
Taste wise though, like
it tastes good.
I just had another sip. It tastes phenomenal. Like it tastes great. Like okay,
it's so hard
to give more of an accurate representation for people that have not had this style of beer. Okay. You probably tried a Smirnoff once in your life, okay? It tastes like a Smirnoff without the chemicals and a beer. Like a berry Smirnoff without the chemicals and a beer.
And Smirnoff might be higher in alcohol than this.
Probably. This is what, only
yeah, it's pretty low. But I mean, that's the style, though. Actually, 3% is the style, so it's better than the style.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just the thing. Like a lot of beer companies, maybe low alcohol beers. A lot of people laugh at like non-alcoholic beers and low alcohol beers. Like, why even drink it? It's like the taste is so good. It's good.
The more that I drink it, I mean, the higher the rating goes. Honestly, because like it doesn't. Like, I'm not gonna go home later and be like, oh, that Marionberry Berliner Weiss that I drank, it really messed me up. No, like it's light.
Yeah.
It
hydrated.
It tastes good. It's not like over chemically or like it's not.
It tastes natural.
It's not too sweet, so it doesn't come off as
sugary.
Like, yeah.
So it doesn't taste. It doesn't seem like there's any lactose in it to like hold that sugar in. So it's really just a straight berry beer, and I give it a solid 8.
Yeah,
I give it a solid 8.
I'm gonna give it an 8 as well because it's
8's right there. Because 8 for me is like it's perfect for what it is, but it's not the beer that I buy every week.
Exactly. 8 is like they did their job. They did what they said. They did what they were gonna do, but it's not that next level shit.
Right.
And if it is that next
and
level
maybe it's
shit,
just the style.
It's not perfect.
And maybe it's just the style doesn't speak to us at a 10. Maybe it just speaks to us at an 8.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just our opinion.
That's just our opinion.
And that's fine. Because all we got here are opinions and beer.